You are the most important relationship. Before you swipe, text, or worry about being too much, start with you. Grow Therapy helps you build self-worth, set boundaries, and show up as your full self. Whether it's your first time in therapy or your 50th, Grow makes it easier to find a therapist who fits you, not the other way around. They connect you with thousands of independent licensed therapists across the U.S., offering both virtual and in-person sessions, nights and weekends. You can search by what matters, like insurance, specialty, identity, or availability, and get started in as little as 2 days. And if something comes up, you can cancel up to 24 hours in advance at no cost. There are no subscriptions, no long-term commitments. You just pay per session. Grow helps you find therapy on your time. Whatever challenges you're facing, Grow Therapy is here to help. Grow accepts over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions average about $21 with insurance, and some pay as little as $0 depending on their plan. Visit growtherapy.com/booknow to get started. That's growtherapy.com/booknow. growtherapy.com/booknow. Availability and coverage vary by state and insurance plan.
If you want to be more consistent, you're in the right place. I'm Elizabeth Benton. Welcome to Consistent, a podcast by Primal Potential that is for all of you who feel frustrated by your lack of progress or overwhelmed by all the change that you want to make in your life. Here, we stop frantically chasing new habits and start strategically building a structure of consistency. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the Primal Potential Podcast. I am Elizabeth Benton. Thanks so much for joining me for a pep talk. Actually, for 3 pep talks, because sometimes we just need a little bit of something to get us back in the game. If you are in a position where you're like, I know what to do, but I just don't know how to get myself to do it, this is for you. One of the most frustrating places we can be is this, I know what to do. We're informed, but we're inconsistent. We're clear on what we could do, but we're not moving. We're not doing it, right? We're thinking about it. We're almost exhausting ourselves. We think about it so much and we plan for it and we prepare for it. We're capable, but we're not following through. So today's episode is going to be a little different. I want to give you 3 pep talks. And all 3 might speak to you. And you might only really be moved by one of them. It doesn't matter. You might not even need this pep talk today, but you don't know that you're going to need it next week or next month. Or if you're like me, I don't know, maybe you listen to this one like 3 times a week because I need to get my head back in the game. If I'm honest, multiple times a day. And so I think it's so cool in this information age in which we live that we can just save a pep talk that resonated with us. Maybe it's this episode, maybe it's some other episode, maybe it's something that you record for yourself, but a little kick in the pants for the moments when we need to stop circling the issue and start making something happen, right? One of these pep talks is going to be if you feel stuck. Another one is if you're feeling like you're tempted to stop trying, to quit, throw in the towel. And one, if you're feeling doubtful, if the doubt or the fear is running its mouth. That's the one that I've been using the most because I feel, I don't know if it's since I've become a mom or if it's a function of just the world feeling particularly unstable right now, but that's the one that I've been running the most on myself. So this is sort of a like choose your own adventure, kick in the pants. You're welcome. And this might not be your style. And in that case, you got a couple thousand other episodes that you can choose from. This first one, we're going to get right into it, is for the times when you don't need to know more. You don't need to plan more. You need to execute. Here's how this one came up. I had been having a back and forth with a particular client. I feel like we had gone back and forth maybe 20 or 30 times. And so she was clear on what the problem was. She was clear on what she needs to change, how to change it. Right? She understood the emotional side, the practical side, what helps her, what doesn't, what to do. And she said, yeah, so this is all great. This is all great, Elizabeth. And then she said this, the problem is the execution isn't happening. Right? And I said, okay, this is the equivalent. What you just said to me, got it. The problem is the execution isn't happening. That is the equivalent of saying, all right, I'm in the car. I know how to drive it. I'm buckled, driver's ed, check. Mirrors adjusted. I know where I'm going. But Car's not moving. Elizabeth, car's not moving. So I said to her, understanding is not the milestone we're looking for here. Execution is. And I told her, metaphorically speaking, you need to put the key in the ignition, shift into drive, and go, right? If the car is not moving, it's not because you don't understand how to get it to move. At some point, you need to go. You need to put it in gear and put your foot on the gas. The question is not, do I understand or do I have a plan? The question is, what does execution look like today? Maybe even, what does execution look like in the next hour? What does execution look like this morning, this evening? I had another conversation with a different client along the same lines. She said, all right, I have a vision for my nutrition. We'd been kind of going back and forth on it for a while. She's like, I know how I want it to be. I know how I don't want it to be. And she says, so what's my next step? And I said, all right, tell me how you're going to execute it today. Not forever, not for a month, not the ideal version, today's version. What does today's version of that vision look like? Where can we execute it today? Not where can we not what's in the way, not, well, today's an exception because of X, Y, and Z. What pieces of that vision are we putting into the game today? Not when life calms down, not when we can do it perfectly. What elements of that vision are we able to bring into today? And that's where sometimes people lose themselves. They stand at the edge of change and they're like admiring it conceptually instead of doing it. And a lot of times that happens because we're waiting until we can do the full-on 100% version of it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Do the messy, yucky, today version of it. I want to give you another example that's been on my mind. My husband and I, some of you guys know if you've been listening for a while, we have this little like hobby farm situation going on here. I say that with a ton of humility because we don't know what the hell we're doing and we mess up more than we get right. But one of the things that I love about this property that we have is that there was an apple orchard of sorts here. However, the trees hadn't been cared for and they were diseased and we kind of tried to work on them. And we just decided, you know what? We need to start over. We ripped up the trees and we're planting new ones. So there's a university in our state that does a lot of education for random people like us. And so we're going to this seminar on apple orchards and I bought the tickets. And imagine for a second that I buy the tickets. We drive out to this seminar. We attend it. We take notes. We get it. Full understanding. And then I reach out and I'm like, hey, so agricultural extension co-op people, I get it all, but like, I don't have a thriving orchard yet. And I would never do that. And it sounds like a silly example. And yet that's how so many of us treat our goals and our plans. At some point, orchards don't happen in your head. They happen in the dirt and you just got to grab a shovel. You got to dig a hole. You got to plant something. I paid for another training through this program and I was watching a training on pruning blueberries. And I'll be honest, I don't have a damn clue what I'm doing. I learned a lot, but if I wait until I get it fully, perfectly, I know exactly what to do and when and how to do it, I'm never going to do it. And instead, I need to grab the shears and I need to go and I'm going to make mistakes and it's going to be imperfect and it's not going to be the perfect plan that I was taught. But the best teacher is your own action and experience. And sometimes we're so in our heads because this information age that I alluded to earlier allows us to be so quite comfortably surrounded and inundated with information. And you might need to hear today that you just need to grab a shovel, roll up your sleeves and get to work, right? What's the smallest real world action that you can do today that creates movement? Not what you're going to think about, not what you're going to journal about, not what you're going to listen to, not what you're going to plan. What are you going to do? What's your version of like digging in the dirt for the next 60 minutes? Is it your next meal is going to be protein forward, or you're going to right now open your door and go outside and take a walk while you listen to this episode? Is it deleting an app from your phone? What is it for you? Is it writing out your meals for the rest of the day? Is it doing the workout, even though you missed the last 4? Even though you can't have a full hour-long workout that you planned for, you can do 10 minutes right now. Change happens through execution, not perfect planning, not perfect circumstances. It's not about awareness as much as it is about action. You need execution. You need to get your hands dirty. You need to get to work instead of just thinking about planning for and preparing for the work. That's pep talk number 1. Maybe you need to come back to that one a few times. Here's pep talk number 2, and it comes from a story that was shared in a sermon my pastor gave a week or so ago, and I just thought it was so important, and it reinforced where I have room for improvement and where this particular approach has served me so well. The story is about a guy you probably haven't heard of. His name is John Stephen Akhwari, a distance runner from Tanzania. He competed in the Olympics in Mexico City way back in 1968. And long after the race was effectively over, the winners had finished, there had already been a medal ceremony, the stadium is almost cleared out, most of the people had already left, he comes shuffling in. And everybody's like, oh, I thought the race was over. Like, who's this guy? Like, well, clearly he's a competitor, but like, whoa. I mean, the last guy came in forever ago, and then here comes this guy stumbling in. Well, during the race, he had fallen, and he had dislocated his shoulder. He had badly injured his knee, and so he had to shuffle his way through, and he comes in, and it was emotional for the people that were still remaining in the stadium, and they stand up, and they're cheering for him, and they're like, wow, the fact that this guy kept going. And in fact, after he crossed the finish line, there was a straggler reporter that was still in there. And he asked him, like, why did you keep going? You know, why finish at that point? I don't even know if your time's going to be recorded because all the officials have already left the stadium. And there's 2 lines that are often associated. And I wasn't alive in 1968, but I think the story is well documented. The famous line that he said is, my country did not send me 5,000 miles to start this race. They sent me 5,000 miles to finish the race. And that's cool. But the line that gets me even more is that he said, I never considered stopping. Isn't that wild? Look, he knows he's not going to be competitive. He knows he's not going to get a medal, but he never considered stopping. And I think the reason it hits me so hard is because a lot of us spend a lot of energy entertaining quitting. Maybe not like big picture quitting. I don't care about my health. I don't care about my money, but quitting today, that's always an option of like, I'll start tomorrow. I'm not going to do it today. I'm too stressed today. I'm too tired today. I'm too busy today. It's a special occasion. We're just always exhausting ourselves with the idea of not running our race today. Maybe not formally, maybe not saying it out loud, maybe it's not dramatic, but it's this quiet open door. And we're always leaving the door open to not running our race, to not doing our best, to not following through, to not keeping our word, to not doing the thing we said we would do, right? We're rehearsing escape routes. And we endlessly flirt with this idea of giving up. We keep the door open. I think we understand how catastrophic that would be if we did that in our marriages. Like, well, you know, there's always that guy that I used to know, you know, or maybe there's somebody who was better for me or would work harder for me or would flirt with me more or would be more attentive or would be more patient, or that is dangerous territory if you're just always flirting with the idea of giving up. Imagine this. I'm a business owner, right? So I've had people who have worked for me over the years. I would not want somebody who's always considering leaving. If every day, every bad day, they consider quitting. Every disagreement, they consider quitting. That just wouldn't be a healthy relationship for anybody. It wouldn't be good, and it's not good for you. I just love the fact that even though he was hurt, he was injured, he was barely shuffling forward, he never considered quitting. Right? Every time that you entertain quitting, you're draining power from continuing. Every time that you let your brain revisit, should I stay in the game? Should I give myself a chance to sit on the sidelines? You have less energy available to actually play. I was talking with a family member not long ago about relationships, and I want to be careful with this example because I'm not giving relationship advice. I'm on my second marriage, my last one, but I'm in my 40s and this is my second marriage. So I'm talking not about extreme situations that maybe you have experienced. I want to be clear to say that. I'm talking about me specifically and my own mindset shift in my marriage. One of the best things that changed for me in my marriage was when I really settled into the mindset of, this is it. Not, you never know what's going to happen. Not, would I be happier with somebody else? Not, could there be somebody that gets me more? Not, is the grass greener on the other side? Is this going to be bad enough to end us? Nope. Just, this is my marriage. This is my commitment, and leaving is not something that I'm mentally entertaining. And what it did for me was really powerful, because it didn't make things easy, and it didn't make every season magically amazing. Nope, we're not there. It didn't mean that there aren't hard days or disconnected seasons or frustration or disappointment or work to do, because there's all of that. But once quitting was no longer a part of the conversation in my head, I had so much more energy available for improving, for repairing, for growing, for tolerating the tough stuff, for expecting the tough stuff, for owning my part and staying in it. And the same thing is true whether we're talking about our health or our finances or our businesses. Why are we so quick to entertain quitting? And how do we think we can possibly be successful if we're always willing to entertain quitting? Because we can't. I feel this way in my business. And I have a lot of friends in business that I see struggle when they're like, I don't know, maybe it's just not working. Maybe it's just not this. I have the same mentality with my business of like, well, I'm going to make it work. This is it. This is what I've committed to. When things have to pivot, when things have to change dramatically, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. And the lows are not my opportunity to be like, is it over? Nope. I just am not going to entertain it. Why are we so quick to consider if this is still worth it, if this is still possible, if this is if we should keep trying? For the rest of my life, I'll be working on my health. For the rest of my life, I'll be working on my fitness. That's not depressing to me. It's clarifying, right? When I stop acting like there's some future version of my life, when I graduate from paying attention, then I stop resenting the work, right? When I stop acting like there's some future version of my life where I don't have to work on my health anymore, I settle in to more than acceptance, but an embracing of this is forever. In the same way that my mindset like that in my marriage isn't discouraging, it's comforting. There is so much freedom in deciding this is not optional. This is part of my life. I am a person who keeps going. I will not be perfect, right? Nothing about this will be flawless. I'm not always going to be enthusiastic about it, but I am going to be faithful to it. I'm not always going to be enthusiastic, but I will be faithful. And maybe that's the shift that you need. Not more excitement, not more rah, rah. I love this every second. Nope. It's going to suck sometimes, but I'm not going to quit. I don't even think you need to have greater confidence. When I think about my business, confidence goes up and down. Like there are times where I'm like, I'm crushing this. This is great. And then there are other times that it's like, how's this going to impact my business? These economic shifts or these political shifts, like how is this going to change things? And the confidence isn't as high. But you know what's still there? The faithfulness, the determination. And maybe you need a line in the sand like this runner had when he's banged up, probably discouraged, probably disappointed. But he said, I never considered stopping. It was certainly hard. It wasn't easy to say that. I don't think he was psyched about it, but he was faithful. You don't have to know how everything's going to unfold. You don't even have to be sure that you know what all you need to do to get where you're trying to go. But quitting is not where your energy belongs, right? Your energy belongs in resourcefulness, in continuing, in adjusting, recommitting, trying again, learning, asking, repairing, executing, staying. I want you to adopt this perspective. I never entertained stopping. I never entertained quitting. You don't have to feel strong every day. You certainly aren't going to feel inspired every day. You don't have to feel certain every day. But you do need to stop treating quitting like it's a valid form of rest, because it's not. Maybe that's the one you need. And here's the one that's kind of my lane right now. It came out of my own doubt. And I experienced doubt in just about every area. I experienced doubt as a mom. Like, am I doing right by my kids? Am I giving them enough individual attention? Am I really paying attention to the matters of their heart? Am I getting to know them as individuals? Am I parenting them as individuals or as like a herd? Am I too distracted? Am I screwing this up in ways I don't realize yet? I experienced doubt in my business. What's it going to look like in 5 years? Are we growing? Are we adapting? Am I offering something that meets the needs of where my clients are right now and what they're wrestling with right now? Am I making the right decisions? And as the sole provider for my family, that's not a light thing to carry. You know, I experienced doubt in my health. I think that this maybe is tied to maybe getting older. I think it's also been exacerbated as I have kids and like the stakes seem higher. I want to be around for them for a really long time. I want to see my grandkids be born. I want to be a part of their life for a long time. And that can bring in doubts and fears around all sorts of different things. And in a moment of doubt the other day, I made myself a note. It kind of came through like a light in the dark. Hey, focus on this. And the note just said, be better. Not in a self-loathing way, not in like a you suck, do more, hustle harder, like not that. But in an empowered way, in a like, hey, there's things here that I can control that increase my odds of success and decrease my odds of struggle or failure or setback or difficulty, right? Or disaster even. What's mine to do here? Instead of spiraling in worry, I can respond. Sometimes when doubt shows up, we make the mistake of trying to like think our way out of it, and we worry and we worst case scenario ourselves to death or to sleeplessness. We analyze and we predict, or I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I catastrophize or I ask questions that aren't answerable right now, or I look for certainty that doesn't exist. And there's another question available. Hey, how can I be better today? How can I be better today? I'm going to get real personal here. One of my kids has been asking a lot of questions lately about heaven and dying. And no doubt it's because he's coming into a new level of understanding about the fact that his sister's dead. And it stirs up all kinds of fears in me. Like, is he too scared? Have I done something or said something that hasn't made him feel safe? Or is he going to have an unhealthy association with death or sickness? Like, am I handling this wrong? Am I addressing this the right way? Am I saying the wrong thing? Am I creating fear? Am I missing signs of something deeper? And I remind myself like, hey, first, it's not all on me. So when I say like be better, I don't mean that in the sense of like I carry all the solutions and all the power for all my problems and all my kids' problems. I don't mean that. What I mean is I can be better. So if I'm worried about this, I can be better, meaning I can be more present, right? I can be more patient in the conversations that we have and not, feel like I'm rushed through them. I can slow down. I can create more room for conversation. I can notice more. I can pray more. I can participate more intentionally in those moments when they come up, right? It's not all on me. There's a huge difference between carrying concern and cultivating helplessness. And when I say be better, it's not because it's all on me. It's because that is one of the things that I control that increases my odds of success and decreases the odds of whatever it is that I fear. Same thing in marriage. I don't need to sit around going like, are we setting a good enough example? Are our kids seeing us resolve conflict in a healthy enough way? Are they, are we connected enough? Are they seeing a great example that I would want them to model? And instead of spinning in the worry there, I can be better. I can communicate better, right? I can turn that worry into empowered and informed action. I can listen better. I can own my stuff more quickly. I can apologize more quickly. I can be less defensive. I can be more affectionate. I can be more playful. I can be less distracted. Same thing in business. I can sit around obsessing about the economy and AI and GLP-1s and the future and competition and what if this changes and what if that changes. And you know what? If I'm the best at what I do, I don't need to worry about that because the best are still going to be the best and it's not going to be an issue. I can be better. I can serve better. I can lead better. I can think better. I can create better. I can respond better. I can simplify better. I can communicate better. The same thing in health. And I know that there are a lot of people listening who live in anxiety around health, fear around health, discouragement around health, even grief around health. I really get that. And I know that sometimes when my health anxiety shows up, it's shaped by losing my daughter and the unexpectedness of that. And so when that fear shows up around my health, I can spiral. That feels terrible. Don't want to do that. Or I can be better. I can move my body better. I can fuel myself better. I can be more consistent with my workouts. I can be more consistent with my nutrition. I can get support, invest in my health, ask for help, use the tools, honor my body instead of just fearing what might happen to it. And it doesn't guarantee a particular outcome. I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but I am saying that it's a really empowered response to fear and worry and doubt. Because it's just not true that if you do everything right, nothing hard will happen. Not true. But if you improve your choices, right, you operate with more presence, more ownership, more honesty, more intention, more action, and that changes you. So when doubt gets loud, you don't have to get dramatic. You can be better. Not perfect, better. Maybe all of those resonate with you. Maybe none of them resonate with you. If so, I'd like to hear either way. Maybe there's one that does more for you than another, but if you're stuck, execute. If you're tempted to keep giving up, stay in the game. Never consider quitting. And if you're struggling with doubt, be better, right? Maybe it sounds really simple. I don't know, it kind of is simple. Doesn't mean it's easy. Simple means clear, not effortless. I don't want you to just hear this and be like, oh yeah, I feel jazzed now. I want you to use it. What is my shovel in the next hour, rolling up my sleeves and getting my hands dirty in the dirt? What does that look like for me, for my goals in the next hour or in the next 3 hours? Where have I entertained quitting that I need to practice staying in the game, that I need to reframe that story? What would being better look like today? Where are my opportunities to do that? Not tomorrow, not next month, not after vacation, not when work slows down, not when you're well rested, now, right? Because the life you want isn't built in your head. It's built in your choices. So I just want to say this to you from the bottom of my heart, head up, get your head in the game. Get your head out of the fear and the worry and the planning and the projecting and the rehashing all of your past. Get your head in the game and keep your eyes up. And if you need help, ask for help. And one of the great ways that you can get help is through Defense Foundations. And we have scholarship applications. This is your last chance because over the next 2 days, I am wrapping up all of my responses to the scholarship applications for our April 1st cohort, the group that starts and runs through the month of April. I'm going to put that link in the show description, but maybe that's your way of getting your head in the game and saying, okay, I'm going to do something. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to invest in myself and I'm going to let somebody else invest in me. So maybe that's your step today. And maybe that's your version of being better today. I'm going to put that scholarship application link. I'll also put the link if you just want to register directly and skip the scholarship application process. You can do that and ensure your spot right now. We start on April 1st and it makes a meaningful impact. It does. I'm not just saying that. It absolutely does. The worst thing I can do is tell you that something works and it doesn't work. And then you're never going to come back and work with me again. So that would be silly. I'm going to put the link in the show description. If you've got questions about it, you can shoot me an email, elizabeth@primalpotential.com. And I'd love to hear if any or all of these little pep talks resonated with you. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.